Yeah, welcome everyone to the live stream. I got Chris Barnes here as a guest. Hey, Chris.
Hey, how's it going?
All right. So you just, well, we're just saying that you just released a new graphic novel.
I did. Yeah, I've been working on it sort of off and on for like 4 years, and now it's actually a graphic novel instead of just
Wow.
little photocopier comic books. Yeah.
Nice, nice. And what's the name of it? It's
The name is Omega Squad.
Omega Squad. All right.
This way. There we go.
Yeah.
Omega Squad, Volume 1, Trial by Fire.
So we got a.
Yeah, almost 100 pages of, well, black and white, but almost 100 pages, and like a space adventure, like Star Wars-ish. Probably can't say that and get sued, but
Star some. You can,
like something in space with
yes,
guns.
yeah. With
More
guns.
than Star Trek, less Darth Vader than Star Wars.
Could be Spaceballs.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is it an international I guess, squad that's gone up or?
Yeah, so it's really you sort of jump into this like a cold open, like, oh, we're going on this mission, and it's supposed to be just run of the mill, whatever. This is boring, and then of course it's not boring because all hell breaks loose and people get captured and they have to escape, and they meet some team members along the way, and yeah, that's sort of the premise of it. And the next volume that's already in the works builds on this whole Omega Squad idea. Like, they are the only group that's there to save the galaxy, sort of thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you said you've been working on it for 4 years. You've had it probably in your mind a lot longer than that, right?
Yeah, like I've been sort of drawing comics here and there for quite a while now, probably 10-ish years in any sort of serious kind of way. And then I joined this Facebook group, Comics, Art, and Relationship, on Facebook about 10 years ago, and there's a bit of an, maybe more like 8 years ago. There's like an exercise in that, like, draw a 4-page or a 4-panel comic page. And within that page is the prototype hero girl. Like, she is there on that page. Like, oh, I could use this. And just sort of, I had a job at the time that was a split shift, so I had some downtime in the middle of the day, and just sort of started putting it together during that sort of midday time.
Nice. Nice. And so how do you usually work out doing the book? Do you start off with doing a script?
It's funny because people have been asking that on groups, not of me, but just in general. I guess lots of people have downtime with this whole pandemic thing. Like, can I make comics? So I go with a really rough outline. Like, this is the major arc of what's happening, A to B, and then I break down to, like, what are my acts of the play. And so each book I make sort of an act in the play, and then from there I'll do like, I want to have this scene and I want to have that scene, and this fits in over here and that fits in over there, and this will take, I don't know, 3 pages, and this will take like 2, and the splash will be this, because in the original books my splash is always in the middle of a 12-page book because I was printing them on a photocopier. And so that was the easy way to make the splash actually line up. It's like, this is the only page that's actually flat. And then I take those ideas and do like little thumbnail layouts and write the dialogue at the same time. Okay. And so I don't work too far ahead of where I'm at. I might do like the overall idea and a bit of a breakdown, but one issue at a time after that, because I gotta make up a panel or 2 in here to make this fit the page I want, and I might need that little bit of information later on too. So Yeah, that's sort of how I do that writing. The thumbnails and the layouts and the writing all happen at once.
Okay. Yeah,
When
that's
I'm not.
usually that's
So,
usually the way I do it. I usually do. I'll have a sketchbook. I don't know if you work in a sketchbook or do you just grab loose pieces of paper and just.
yeah, I could go grab some if you want and show you the whole process.
Yeah, sure.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
give me 1 second. I'll be
Yeah.
right
All
back.
right. All right. Yeah. So. Let's see. There.
So this is for the second. Well, the second volume is the next book. So I I would like to say I work in a book in a very organized way, and that would be a complete lie. Because like I buy um, cardstock to draw on when I go to conventions and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and so I just use that. So like this is the book 2 of the second volume, and that's sort of the rough outline there. Like, oh, like
Yeah.
11 to 17 is going to be this thing happening,
Uh,
and so on like that. And then that becomes this sort of a thing here, where you get the slash and the little bits of dialogue all written down. Could be any changes and put in little notes and that sort of thing for what I'm doing along the way. And oftentimes, like, I like these little quick sketches sometimes way better than I like the finished penciled pages, just because they're so like it's happening in my brain as I'm writing it out, and it's like, oh, this I want this to look like this, and then that just becomes a penciled page, like, well, you know what penciled pages look like. They look like this. I just do it right on the cardstock, about 8.5 by 11, so I have to draw like super thick margins on the side to get it to line up when I'm doing a comic book way. There's handing out the second book. Maybe some.
what size is that, Chris?
What size is this?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
your finished stuff, right? That's your page that you work on for your finished stuff, or is that still your layout?
this is the finished pencil. Yeah. So when I did that first volume, I didn't. So this is just 8.5 by 11,
Okay.
and that's why it's got such a thick margin here, so that when I blow it up to be the comic book page size, it'll actually fit this time instead of me spending 3 weeks trying to figure out why Amazon didn't like my trimming. Because the things you learn when you're doing it all yourself, like a comic book page is actually this size, and if you try to have, they didn't like Amazon did not like me having white boxes around stuff, because well, like in here, like originally this box here, like the line in between, like in most comics, was white. And Amazon hated that there was white at the end of the page, and so all that white became gray, which ends up looking pretty neat in the end. But if they had clued me in as that was the solution earlier, that would have been great, because it would have been 3 weeks ago that this book came out instead of now. Yeah.
I thought maybe you would work on Cranston paper. There's a comic book a paper out there. There's 20, I think it's 24 pages in a booklet, and it's 11 by 17.
Mm-hmm. I have that, and I tried to draw a few pages on it, and it's big, right? 11 by 17 is big, and at the time when I first started this whole shebang, like I was doing this work a lot, like on my break in a Starbucks, and it's like 11 by 17 is kind of unwieldy at that point. And then also I was like, well, this next volume I'm gonna ink digitally since I have a laptop for it now. I could have done it the last couple of books, but didn't. But I was like, this is going to take a lot of ink to ink this and put in all the black for space and stuff. So I just did it on the smaller paper because also at the beginning I didn't know that like self-publishing, self-printing through Amazon or whatever was a thing, like print on demand business, because like I don't have the upfront cash to print 1,000 books and then store them to hopefully sell them. But this way, like they print it on demand and I don't have to keep any inventory, which is great. Well, I mean, I'll keep some because conventions and stuff, but yeah.
But you could always go the route of Indiegogo or Kickstarter.
Yeah, I tried Kickstarter, Kickstarter, and didn't get any real traction. So I was like, yeah, well, I know I've got these books, and like I used to, when there was conventions, I would go to like I'm from Peterborough, so there'd be a Peterborough convention, or there's a Quincy Toy Con and the Toy Force guys, and I've been to all their conventions, and so I would just have like the little photocopier printed books to go to those with, and didn't really I printed them at work, and so it didn't cost me a lot, or I printed them at home too on my laser once I got a laser printer.
Yeah.
So it didn't actually cost me anything to do really. So that was kind of a good way to do that, and I would sell a few books that way.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I knew somebody. I worked a long time ago at a security company, and I had a guy who was into woodworking. So he made a book about woodworking, and he used the company that we're at. I'm not afraid to say the company. It was Allen Bradley's, and that we're protecting because it's long time ago, and he went and photocopied all of his work into a book, and he was selling them for $5.
Nice.
I'm like, oh man, Art, you're gonna get in the shit if they find out you're using their photocopier.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
A lot of paper and ink.
Yeah.
I used the photocopier at work. I used to scan it and stuff, and then I just go to Staples and print it out too. So.
Yeah. So. So you got a second book on its way.
The second book is on its way. So that penciled pages you were seeing. So this book I did in 12-page, like sort of mini books, right?
Yep.
Usually comic books are 50 pages.
Yeah.
And it ended up coming to 97 pages, and it was great because you needed over 90 of them or over 80 for your book to have a spine, lettering and stuff. Because I wanted to have like I've got my name on the spine of the book. So
yeah, so you can put that on the bookshelf. Yeah.
Yeah, and so once I figured that bit out, I knew I was going to do a second one anyways. So I took a bit of the book is ready to print, and naively I thought I'd print right away instead of spending 3 weeks trying to figure out the formatting. And I started on the second book, and so the second volume, I likely won't put it out as individual books because I didn't really put this one out as individual books either. I think I had 5 or 6. I had 6 of them at first, and then sort of this race to the end to actually make it into this. And so the volume 2 is underway. It's planned for 100 pages, and I've got 15 pages drawn, and 1 page inked and colored. This one will be in color. So I spent this morning on Sketchbook and Photoshop trying to figure out how to color a comic book in a timely manner, which so far is not working out because it took me about 6 hours to do the 1 page. But yeah, so the second book underway, going to be in color.
Nice. So what program are you using to color it?
So this morning, anyway.
Oh, you just this morning. Okay.
Yeah. So I've done like pinup art and made posters and stuff for conventions, and I use Sketchbook and Sketchbook Pro to. I draw better on paper, I think. So I draw on paper, take a picture or scan, and then go over in inks in Sketchbook, and then color in Sketchbook Pro. And then I was watching Francis Manifold's YouTube channel and seeing about how to use masks and stuff to put in your shadows and your highlights. He does all that in Photoshop. So unless I find a way to do that in Sketchbook Pro, I'm going to go from Sketchbook to Sketchbook Pro in Photoshop. And that will be the coloring process, the inking and coloring process for book 2. Yeah. So convoluted so far.
Do you have
I can find a better way to do it.
Do you have a tablet or anything to do that with?
I have a Samsung Tab Pro S.
Okay.
So it's what I'm using right now for this. I think it's probably 10.3 inch screen, I think, and touch sensitive and pressure sensitive, or maybe that's in the pen, but it didn't come with a pen, so I had to buy specifically a very hard to find pen that would work with this tablet that I didn't realize was so specific when I bought the tablet. So that's what I'm using to do the digital stuff. And so far, like it has worked. Like, I'm sure there's better workflows to get it done.
Yeah.
It's not the tools that are the problem so far.
If I give you a suggestion, there's if you can go on eBay and find an old version of Painter.
Okay.
Painter is from Corel. Corel is a Canadian company, I believe. Still, I don't know if they were bought up or by. They're still in publication. But I do have. Let me see. I'm just reaching over my shelf to get it. I got this one, Painter 12. It's an education. It's an educational one, which I didn't realize when I bought it. They said you can't use it commercially, but this is like 4 or 5 years old, maybe 6 years old. So I don't think they really care now.
No.
But you can get on eBay fairly cheap. I've seen that program afterwards for maybe about $100. If you want to spend that much money. But I recommend Painter because you can do oils, you can do watercolors, and all you need, I find by working with that, I use one layer, and that's all I use. The color. Yeah, I'll do all my backgrounds first because you do your backgrounds. What I learned in art school was you do your colors, your backgrounds first. So if you're going to have, say it's a wall or something, maybe, this goes something simple, and your wall is going to be green. Well, you throw your green all over the place, and then you start going to your foregrounds, and you do it that way, and you just do a layer called clone. No, matte. No, sorry, it's not clone. What is it called? Cell. It's called cell. CEL. It's just like you use for a movie, like the cartoons, the animated stuff. They use cells, plastic acetate silver on top, and that's what you do. Just that one layer, and that's it.
Oh.
Yeah.
That sounds simple. Like I can't even write on my layer.
Well, you see that image behind us here? That's my character, Max Berger, and this is what I colored with Painter.
Okay.
So I did the blue, the very light blue in the back, and then I start coming closer to the characters on the roof and stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it worked out. It doesn't. The colors go over fairly well. Doesn't make it look darker or anything like that.
Yeah.
And if you got Mac, you work on Mac, PC. I think that's all it works on. And there's it's Windows and Mac. It works for.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
I got it.
So, and then there's other alternatives. There's Clip Studio.
Right. I asked about So I did all my word bubbles with Comic Life too, and so I'd make the word bubble and cut or copy and paste it into Photoshop and put it on the page for volume 1. I was like, this. Some of them look a little bit wonky because the word bubbles come like this big into Photoshop, and I need them to be like this big once it's on the page. And so some of them look a little wonky. So that Clip Studio is what someone suggested, or a few people suggested to me for doing the word bubbles.
And it's free. I think it's free, but and I think if you want to purchase it, I think it's like $65. So I've downloaded it. I've got that on there too. So I'm playing with that. But I do like Painter. Painter's been my. I started with when I did a comic book back in '95, which never got published. But the guy I was working with, he got the first version of Painter. So he ended up giving me a copy of it, and the only thing was with that, when you start off with something new, like a new program, there's a learning curve, and with us, what we had to do with our artwork, we didn't have 11 by 17 scanners. We just had the average ones, and you'd scan it in. You'd have to reverse the image to a negative, and then you put an overlay on top of it. And the only way you could see if your colors were coming, you had to flip it around again. You had to put some kind of a selection box around this area, and then flip it so it would become positive. And the files were like 25 megs in size.
Oh my god!
And then the layer would be another 25.
Oh jeez.
And then my computer, because this is Windows 95, no 85 or something, one of the first Windows anyway, and it would crash all the time. I didn't have enough memory. My hard drive kept filling up. I'm going like, how come my hard drive is filling up? I said, I'm not saving anything. But to see the program, what it was doing was automatically saving it every time you work on it. And I'd have to start over, and I'm like, oh my god. Yeah, but the colors came out amazing. I was like going, wow, this is like, I didn't think I was that good. Doing some, you had textures and everything. They give you everything to go through.
Wow.
Yeah, but I don't know. I haven't found the same stuff in the later versions of Painter. So they don't have. They I guess they got rid of some stuff that didn't work or some. But I would recommend you trying that. Maybe download it, because you can download it from Corel's website for 30 days. Try it out.
Oh, okay.
The only thing is, with the latest one, I found that you have to have certain cards or something in your computer to be able to handle. So you might want to look at before you download it, just check to see if you have that in your computer that it can handle it. But just try for 30 days. If you like it, that one is expensive. The newest one is like $600. I know. I was like, really? I like it. It looks really nice. And now I have something else for you too. There's a guy I've been following on YouTube, Cirquix Lab or something. Let me see if I can find him. He does. He's got a thing called. It's a comic shop workshop, and he'll give you a font. He'll give you some fonts. He gives you some word balloons, and then you can kind of cut them out. They're all the backgrounds are layers, like for Adobe and stuff for Photoshop. Okay. So you can lay them on top of your images, and it will just fit on like a regular bubble. And you can send for his kit for free. Maybe I can do this after we get off the live stream here, and I can send you a link. It's going to take me a few minutes to find him. But yeah, that there's some other options there. Blamblot is
Oh yeah.
free fonts. Go to him.
Yeah, I've got a few there on the.
Yeah. So all my Max Berger books, I used Blamblom for all my most of my lettering, and some from Scott's page.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So that will help your flow a little bit better too.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll need to do something to speed it up a little bit now that I'm trying to do it in color.
Yeah. The drawing takes time to put that stuff together. I know that. You know.
Yeah.
And then some days you'll have those days like, man, you look at that page, it's all white. I don't know what to put on it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm thankful for the thumbnails. Like when I'm to have those little, oh yeah, okay. And then if I'm not super feeling it, like at least I have somewhere to begin to sort of get me into the mood of it.
Yeah, thumbnails are really great, but sometimes you can't always get that energy that you put into the thumbnails over.
No, yeah, that's hard to do. Some of my thumbnails are awesome, and I'm like, I just want to use that.
Yeah.
But then that wouldn't look so great on a whole page. If it's just like a.
Well, what I've been doing lately is scanning in my thumbnails sometimes when I can't get it right, blow them up to 11 by 17. I'll go to my light table.
Yeah.
And then I'll trace the, because my thumbnails are really doodly, so I'll get the energy and the shapes of some of the stuff I have there, and then I refine it once I have it up on the drawing table.
Yeah, because you can capture that energy from the sketch. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's another method for you to speed up the process a bit more.
Yeah, I find that with a pencil in hand, I'm a lot more free to create things than when I'm trying to use the computer. Like, because this computer I draw right on the screen, but even then, it's like, okay, like this line's got to be this, it's got to be control Z, it's got to be this line. Oh no, it's got to be this. But with a pencil,
right,
it doesn't matter. You just go and find the line instead of like, oh, it's got to be this one line. So yeah, I really enjoy that the thumbnailing and the layout process I have. That's probably when I'm at my most creative, because then it's like it's all happening right then.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, do you? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then when it's full pages, it's like, okay, like now it's got to fit in this box,
And especially if you got to redraw it again, then it sometimes doesn't work.
Yeah, it's hard. Like you have an idea. Sometimes you have an idea, and it's like, oh, like this looks so amazing right now. Let me just put that on paper, and then it's like, oh no, that's not that amazing, or I can't get it out of here to there.
Yeah. Or especially when you're looking at the layouts and the layouts don't work the way.
Yeah. I've got more than a few. I've got like a little arrow. It's like, no, this has got to be the other way around, and blah blah blah. Yeah.
Yeah, usually layouts are really good to work out because that's a good planning step to go.
Yeah.
And then your pencils and stuff like that. Because if you don't have your layouts and you just go and sit at the board and just put. Now, I used to heard that Chester Brown, when he did his comic books, he used to do. I think he used to cut them out. He used to draw them in little panels, and then he cut them out and paste them on the board. You know who Chester Brown is, do you?
I've heard the name, but I'm not connecting it right now.
Okay, he did an independent book back in the 80s called Yummy Fur.
Okay.
It was an autobiography book about him or something like that, and it was a really strange book.
Yeah. That's an interesting way to work. I find like
Yeah.
I really do find without thumbnails, like a lot of my pages tend to want to look the same. Like there's this box, and then there's maybe two in the middle, and then there's another box. But like when I do the thumbnail thing and lay it out, you can get I get sort of layouts like there's a circle in the middle, and then this reads from there to there, and then comes around, and it I mean, hopefully it makes sense once it's all inked. But like it's a lot more than just like here's a box and here's another box and here's another box. Which I think if I just tried to have a script and go right to the page without a thumbnail, all my pages would look exactly like that. Just no major creativity in the layouts at all. Which I like. I look at a lot of, I say Francis Manipul's name again, but his book, like his run on the Flash for the New 52, and like Jim Lee and another, like Marcus Toe is a Toronto guy. I just read his, well, it's not just his, but the Boom Studios Joyride.
Yeah.
And I look at a lot in books, like in the books I own. Like, okay, I keep laying out the same way. Like, let's just thumb through this and, oh, this looks interesting. Like, maybe I can use this part of this page as a layout, like as an idea, just to keep it interesting. Or, oh, this layout will work well for what I'm trying to do here.
Well, usually what I do is I usually go to George Perez and I'll look at his stuff, because that guy, he puts so much details into his stuff, and his page layouts are just beautiful.
Yeah, and it really makes a big difference.
Yeah. Sometimes you need that inspiration to look at somebody else's work, you know,
Yeah.
to kind of give you a, oh, I never thought of maybe this way. You're not stealing it from them. You're just, it's giving you an idea to kind of help take that blockage. Well, it's not really blockage. It's just, I don't believe in writer's block and stuff like that. I just feel there's just sometimes there's an obstacle, or that page doesn't work. It's not, and you just have to figure. They always say that the artwork is underneath a blank piece of paper, that image. And all you have to do is just erase it or something like that. You know, it's like a clay. That beautiful elephant shape is in there, or that elephant you see in your brain is in there. You just have to take the pieces off to reveal it.
Yeah, it's funny. I forget who was saying it. I go to Fan Expo, and I've been fortunate enough to go to San Diego Comic Con twice now, and I wish I could remember who said it, but you know, people in the audience always ask, like, how long have you been doing art? Or how long have you been drawing? And the guy said, like, it isn't when I started to draw that makes me any good at it. It's like, when did you stop that has stopped you? Because as a kid, you draw. Like, you want to make marks on a page as a child. And then along the line, you get convinced that you're not good at it from some source or another. And so people stop. And so people have asked me that, like, because I work in daycare as well. Like, that's my sort of day job. Is I'm an ECE, and so other teachers or some kids will ask, like, how long have you been drawing? And I just never stopped drawing. I've never been to art school. My friend Matt, he does art. I have a friend Rob. He does art for a living, and they went. Well, Robbie went to school. I don't think Matt ever did, but I never went to school for art. I just keep on drawing. Like, you just draw until you're good.
Right.
I don't know. I went on a big tangent there, but
yeah, that's okay. I got involved. Well, I was been doing comic books myself for a while, but I ended up going to a school called Open Door, and I met this teacher. I was in 3 grades, and he was doing life drawings And I found when I went to life drawings, that's when my drawing skills got better.
Hmm.
Because you had models, you had female, male, you had male, female models coming in. They were all different sizes, and you got to work on the human anatomy.
Yeah.
And once you do that once a week, and you're doing that, and then you're working on your sketchbooks, you tend to get better at what your craft is.
Yeah, because you learn what the shape of people is, right? Like, oh, the arm connects like this, and the leg connects like that, and you got to turn. If this turns, then so does this. Yeah. I've done like online life drawing. It's not that. It's like quick sketch or something. Like, I knew a website at one point where you'd go and they'd show you here's like a pose, and you have 30 seconds to capture it.
Yeah.
And then it would do that like 5 or 6 times, and like here's one and you've got 2 minutes. Here's another one and you've got 5 minutes, and here's one and you've got half an hour. And you just did it on paper yourself, and I mean, no one's really there to give you any pointers or critique you, but it's practice. Like, here's quick practice, and then here's detail practice. And I would do that. I drew my own Batman comic, like 2013-ish. It's terrible. Well, the writing is terrible. The drawing is, by comparison of now, not great. But I mean, also just doing a comic, like, you're drawing the same people or characters over and over and over and over and over again in different poses, and even if you stink at the beginning, like, you'll stink less at the end, which is how this came about. Like, I stink less, and hopefully even less after this, right? Like, it's just repetition.
Yeah. Well, I heard from Dave Sim. He told me that I think it was Mike Kaluta had told him that you have to do 10,000 bad drawings before you do any good ones.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah.
I totally believe it.
Yeah. But when I did my second book, my Max Burger, I was able to improve on the artwork. I used different brushes. I don't know what kind of materials you use. Do you use brushes to ink with, or markers?
So just paper and pencil for the pencils, obviously, and then I used mostly touch markers.
Okay.
That I just like 0.05, 0.1, 0.3, 0.5, 0.8. That's pretty much the line work in all those books. In this entire book, is just those markers for the ink. And I would just I want this line to be thicker, and grab a different one. I tried using a brush. I have tried using a brush multiple times, even just a marker brush.
Yep.
And what always happens to me is I'm like going along, just, oh, this looks good, and then I go like I want to push instead of pull, and like the line gets all weird and stupid. I'm like, forget this. I'm using just markers. And then at one point I did try like I don't know the name of it, like the pens that have like the end. It's like this, and then when you press down on the page, it comes apart, like an inkwell pen.
Oh, okay, yep.
Instead of dipping it. And I tried to use that for a bit. Like, oh, this is neat. Like, the line's wide or it's skinny or whatever, but I never. The pen dried out on me, and I never got a new cartridge for it. And then I tried using. I had watercolor pencil crayons.
Mm-hmm.
So you color with them, and then you had a water brush, and just it would make it look like you'd watercolor painted this thing. And I tried doing that for a while, and I maintain completely that I'm a terrible painter, because I want to paint like I'm coloring with markers, and it looks like crap. So I would love to learn how to do watercolors from somebody who knows how to do it and actually have lessons. But because I think that would look cool.
I've been finding it's been harder to get classes and stuff because when I started getting seriously into drawing in the 80s, you could go anywhere and there would be people teaching you how to paint, how to draw. They would they would have models and stuff come in. Now you don't have them anywhere. I talked to somebody in Waterloo at an art store, and I said, "Where can I go for to see to draw a real model?" And she said, "Well, we used to have it here, but people start dying off. They wouldn't come in, and they couldn't afford to bring a model in if they didn't have anybody come in." So,
right, yeah, I think it seems like a age of the internet kind of problem. Like, why would I pay for something when I can just watch YouTube for free? Like, well, because when you pay for something, it's usually better and more interactive. Like, feedback is amazing, especially when it's coming. I shouldn't say not all feedback's amazing, because some of it's just idiots on the internet.
Yeah,
who like want to trash whatever you want to do. Like, you can always find someone who's going to do that. But like, to go to a class and do something in real time and have someone who is educated be like, oh, actually, this would look a lot better if you did this. Like, that's super valuable. And like I say, a couple of my friends are in animation, and when I first sort of was drawing more, they're like, what you should do is the flour sack exercise. They're like, what is that? It's like, well, you draw a flour, like a sack of flour, but give it emotion. And if you can convey emotion with an amorphous blob of a sack of flour, then good for you, and keep on doing that, and then do it some more, because you're conveying what you want without any words. So, yeah.
Never thought of that way. Wow. Huh.
Yeah, somewhere in my basement is that page of flour sack drawing.
Hidden somewhere.
Yeah. Like, oh, I don't want to throw this out. This was a valuable lesson. I'll just move it from house to house forever.
So, Chris, how did you get into comic books? Like, what was your origin story?
My comic book origin story. I did as a kid. I wasn't a big collector. I had The Untold Legends of the Batman. It was like pocket size, like a Gideon's Bible sort of dimensions, and in it, like, there's like the story of the Joker, and there's like Bruce. He's having some sort of mental breakdown, and like Bruce is in the mirror, and Batman's talking to him because he's like, I'm not letting you come back because I'm taking over, sort of thing. And that was like my first comic book. And I had that, it was kind of my only comic book for a long time. And then Calvin and Hobbes, sort of as a 10, 11, 12-year-old, I had a lot of Calvin and Hobbes books, still have them. The young stepson's reading them now, who loves them. And then I was in college, in university, not going to class nearly enough, and in Toronto. And my friend Matt was like, you should read Kingdom Come, you'd like it. So by Alex Ross and Mark Waid. And so I went down to Silver Snail and got Kingdom Come. And ate that up because the art's amazing, and it's such a high level theme in that book. And that was really of comic books in like superheroes. That was sort of my origin book, and then from there, like Nightwing really captured my attention, and I bought individual copies of Nightwing from there. Yeah, and I mean, I love all the Marvel movies and stuff. I don't own a single Marvel comic book, but I don't, and it's all DC that I own, except for now my own, and Joyride, and just a couple of random others. But yeah, so like that Untold Legends of the Batman and Kingdom Come.
Any Canadian comic books in your collection?
You
must have read Captain Canuck at one time.
I mean, I've seen Captain Canuck. I don't own any Captain Canuck books.
No?
I actually don't think I own, well, other than my own comic book Canadian, but no, it's all sort of major label stuff. I'm not, and even really most of my comic books are from New 52 onward.
DC stuff.
Yeah, I didn't really have the expendable cash before that, and then I always felt like, where's the jump on point? Like, oh, I would collect comic books, except like, I don't know where all these stories are beginning and ending. If I buy an individual book now, like I'm in the middle of something. And so I used to buy at chapters. I'd go like, this graphic novel looks good, and flip through like, this got good art. I'll buy this and read it. And then when DC relaunched the New 52, I was like, oh, like this is my chance. Like I can get in right where I'm, like I've watched like the Batman cartoon and Justice League and Batman Beyond, like superheroes. Mostly Batman was like my sort of adolescent childhood. But when they did the New 52, I was like, this is it. And I got Batman and Nightwing to my house every month on a subscription, and then I would just go buy the volumes at Chapters, because at the time they were offering 24% off if you ordered them online. So it was a good deal.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah.
So you started more later in life reading comic books then?
Yeah, in a serious way, yeah, for sure. Like I was, by the time the New 52 was coming in, I was 30-ish. Anyways, that was what, 2011 that happened? Yeah. So yeah, 30, 31. And before that, it was more of a passive, like, oh, this looks neat, I'll grab it and read it. It wasn't like a super passionate thing.
So you never read it before preteen or anything like that, like when you were like 5, 6, 7, 8?
Not really. Like the Sunday comics in the paper at my grandma's house. But yeah, no. Well, Garfield, the Garfield book. My friend Matt had like all of the Garfield books that you could buy, like from Scholastic when you're a kid in school, and he had Gen 13, I want to say.
Yep.
Like the Image comic.
Yeah.
Yeah, Spawn. He was a big Spawn guy. Max. The Max? Max.
I think it's called the Max.
Yeah, he had a lot of those books, and I'd thumb through those. I had a few Star Wars books around that age, like that sort of teenager-ish age. But yeah, my real dive into comics and my dive into collecting especially came a little bit later when I was like, oh, I have some money to waste on things. So but now I have too many things. Don't let my wife watch.
They grow, don't they? You
yes.
know? You got white boxes, and actually the ones that are really nice, they got them out and they're decorated, the comic book boxes now.
Yeah, those are cool.
Yeah, I know. I'm like going, oh, they're much better looking than white boxes, you know?
Yeah, the white ones are too plain. It's funny. The thing that I really got hooked on, I went to a convention. My first fan expo I went to, it might have been Comic Con I went to first in Toronto. I saw Marcus Toe there, and he'd done a couple of the books in that New 52 Flash run. And I was like, okay, like, I see other people like going to their tables, because it was the first one I've ever been to. And they asked these guys to draw for them and it cost money and whatever. And I'm like, okay, can I get the Flash? Or he worked on the Flash. And he's like, is this your first one? Because we were chatting. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, it won't be your last. And I have so much art now. It's unreal. That's the thing that really like hooked me. So I've got, I don't know, well, there's two in this room even, Wonder Woman and Batman. Flash, Nightwing. I have a Power Girl by Amanda Connor that I won in San Diego. And then what I did to sort of calm down that spending of money so much was just little sketch cards. So I'd go with a pocket full of sketch cards to conventions and just find whoever, oh, can you draw this? Can you draw this? So I've got like almost 30 different sketch cards, all different characters, like framed good guys, bad guys, up on the wall downstairs. So that's where my collectorness shows up.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Kingdom Come was the one that got you to do comic books then? Did you said
Yeah.
you gotta draw a book because of the Kingdom Come?
Yeah, like that was really it was such an amazing book. And you know, at the time, you know, it was like 99, 2000 the year. And so America's having some issues, right? As usual.
Yeah.
And you know, the whole story is like, you know, they've gone too far, and you know, they've sort of shunned Superman for being too goody-goody and brought in this other guy who will kill the bad guys. And it was such a like you could use this medium to convey like whatever story you want. And that sort of I had sort of written stories before as a teenager, like, oh, here's a James Bond story, and it's, I don't know, 13 pages, and it's complete like one trope after another of James Bond things. And so then to have that and then read Kingdom Come, like, I could do this instead, and that would be when I really started trying to draw better so that I could do this thing. Yeah.
Good. So you got, like, we've talked earlier, but you said you've got a second book coming out. So you're going to do a whole series of these, or you're just going to do maybe two, or?
I'm hoping to continue on with it. They're pretty versatile characters, and you know, they're in space, so anything can happen. They can go anywhere, right?
Yeah.
This first book is sort of can they save the galaxy from this other militant group? And disaster happens midway through, and they got to solve the problem, you know. And then book two is sort of dealing with you know, someone in book one who you don't really think is a bad guy is, and he's got this sort of army rising that he's genetically modifying, and they're gonna have to find a solution to that. And something will happen in the end that I've only vaguely worked out so far, which will lead into the third volume, the next 300 pages or the next 100 pages, and then hopefully on and on after that. So yeah, nice. I find it enjoyable. It's fun to draw. It's really relaxing, something for me to do, and if I can share it with the world, why not?
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
And you said the next one's going to be in color.
Yep. The first page is already colored. It's going up on my Instagram later today. Just a little sneak peek.
You're not going to put it up? You're not going to put it up on Facebook? Just Instagram?
Well, Instagram connects to my Facebook. It'll be on both.
Okay. I'm not on Instagram, so...
okay. Yeah, it'll be on both.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to see that.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Let's see what else I can ask you here. So can you describe the story again? It's a space story.
Yeah.
And is it like a crew, like a famous spaceship that goes out to explore, or?
No. So the premise of this, here, I'll open it up. Hopefully not bending too many pages. The first line of the whole book is, "Can you believe we have to go halfway across the galaxy?" It's like this. It's like, do I really have to go to work today? And so it's just these two soldiers, people, and they're, you know, they're off to do this thing, and there's no real connection in that first book or so, or the first 12 pages or so, to their larger world, other than like, here's these two people and here's the bad guys and stuff's gonna happen. So there is talk of a federation. It doesn't necessarily mean it's Star Trek. There's some cameos and Easter eggs throughout the book. They could be in any universe, really. Like Rick and Morty might show up there in a panel in the back somewhere. Just saying. And
or Captain Mercer, maybe Captain Mercer.
Oh, maybe.
You know who I'm talking about, right? You know what I'm talking about?
There's a Klingon in there. There's a lightsaber in there. There's Ewoks in there. So it's all over the place a little bit. I didn't want to tie it. Didn't want to tie it down too hard.
Yeah.
That way I can steal technology from wherever I need it from. You know, oh, I need to be able to get from A to B in 3 panels. So transporters exist. Yeah, that works.
Yeah. You just have to call them something different, you know?
Yeah. Exactly. Little loopholes in there somewhere.
Nice. So have you planned to expand that to sell those anywhere else? Like maybe once we open up again, if we ever open up. Because I got a feeling that Florida's slowly opening us up. Then he's going to close us all up again.
Yeah, well, hopefully not. Like I really like it. It'd be nice to resume real life at some point here.
Yeah.
The store has changed hands now, but Need a Hero Comics in Belleville.
Mm-hmm.
I was pretty good friends with Aaron there, and I don't know his last name. Chris, though, another Chris, works there. He's just eating up all these all the 12-page books, and so I've talked to the new owner of that store, and I'm gonna have some books there once I get my author copies in to sell, and then like Peterborough has the Grey Guardian. I haven't talked to them yet about having it in there, and then I've shopped a lot at Comic Book Addiction in, I guess technically that's Ajax. Okay. So I should have some in there hopefully, if he'll put them on the shelf. So that's about the breadth of that in-store plan. At the moment, I don't have like a big distribution plan, obviously. But hopes are there. And then if we ever have conventions again, like I say, Toy Force, he always does a show in Belleville every year, except this year. And then he's in Ajax as well, yearly. Yep. So I'll be at conventions like sort of that size. I've almost been at Fan Expo once. So I was going to split a booth with the guy. But like I have anxiety over like forking out that much money to have a booth at Fan Expo and then like not making any or something like that.
It's quite expensive. It's quite expensive for Fan Expo for a table, you know? Yeah. Because I've been thinking of going back myself because I had a table once there before. It wasn't that much, you know? It was a couple $100 when I went. And when I talked to somebody else, they were telling me it was like $1,500 or something. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
How much?
Yeah. An Artist Alley like half table is like $600 or something like that, or like $500 or $600. And it's like, that's a lot of money for 4 feet of space.
Yeah.
But it'd be interesting to go. I mean, you get into the show, and it costs you $100 to get into the show anyway. So it really only costs like $400.
You might want to check out for next year. There's a Kitchener Comic Con that happens every year. It's free for people to come in. The organizer might be able to give you a table.
Okay.
I don't know how it's going to work, but you can talk to him. You can look for Kitchener Comic Con on Facebook and just send him a message, say that you're, hopefully that everything is opened up next year. And you can come down because it's at City Hall in Kitchener.
Oh, okay.
It's absolutely free for the public to come in.
Nice.
And
That's awesome.
it's great for creators and stuff like that. Richard Comley's got one. Tri-City Comic Con or something. And then the Cambridge Library has a comic book arts thing run by Alfonso.
Yeah, I've been to that twice. Alfonso's an awesome guy. He did I had my first issue. He did 100 prints for me, but like glorified photocopier prints, but he printed them out. And they look great. So I've done that show. I do have a table. It's supposed to be at Cape, the Cornwall Arts Convention this year, but obviously got canceled. I will be there in 2021 as long as things are running by then. So next spring I will be there for sure. Yeah. So I'm hoping to get some of that American. Well, our border has to be open, which I'm glad it's not right now. But hopefully in Cornwall, I would assume Americans will come over and buy stuff for like pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, because their money's worth a lot more over here.
Yeah, especially right now.
Yeah. What is ours about? Our dollar's about 65 cents.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, yeah, that's crazy.
I liked it when we had it when it was par. You know, because I was looking at stuff on eBay and I was going. I think that was about 8 years ago, and I'm going, ooh, look at the stuff I can buy. This is really good.
Yeah. Now it's like, oh no.
What? It's another $8 added onto that.
Yeah.
So yeah. But you should also look into maybe checking out the libraries and having the libraries buy off you.
Yeah, I am going to go into the Peterborough Library once they open up again, which maybe is Friday. I don't know. I know one of my previous life jobs was I was like the tech guy in Autonomy South Monaghan library, and so the CEO of that library is on my Facebook, and she's like, "There's so many restrictions, we're not even going to open." So, anyways, but I did a Peterborough Arts Festival, not last year, but the year before, which got very little traction. A few really awesome people came to like have tables at my Peterborough Arts Festival, but not many people came to buy anything. So, but I do have a connection there, so hopefully I can be in there and selling locally at least.
There was one at Mississauga at a library, a convention. I think it was the guy that did the Human Lizard.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he works there. Jason Liu.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't think he organizes it, but he has a hand into it.
Right.
But you may want to check into that too.
Yeah, the shows in the libraries are great.
Yeah.
The libraries are usually really accommodating and
and they're free for audiences to come in. It's not like Fan Expo where you got to pay. I think the last time I heard Fan Expo to get in on a Saturday was $60 or $65 to get in.
Yeah, I think 65.
Yeah, and I'm going like, how can you spend anything in there? You've already spent your money to get in.
Right.
I come in. I just come to look for friends. I'll see who's there, and I'll go to the tables. I'll say hi, and then I go. And I'm like going, I spent $65 just to come in and say hi to a few friends that I haven't seen in person for a year.
Yeah. You got to get them to put you on their table as a helper.
Yeah, maybe I should. Yeah.
I'll come help you move all your stuff in. If you
I'll help you. Yeah, you're tired by Sunday. I'll come and help you move your stuff and pack your stuff away for you.
Yeah, see, that's probably even a better offer because they're excited to get there and they're like, "Oh my god, I got to bring all this stuff home now." Yeah.
You want to sell it all before you leave, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Because I know at the end of a convention, I've been to a few conventions, and I'm like, I'm pretty tired by the time I get out of a
Yeah,
convention. And then you
yeah,
got to pack everything away, and
yeah. Especially if it's not a busy one, because then you're just killing time.
yeah, like if you're out of town or something, like out of country, that's sometimes hard too. You
Right?
know,
Yeah. Oh, true. Like almost every convention I go to is at least an hour away from me. It seems like Peterborough. Like Peterborough's had a few. Toy Force put on a show in Peterborough, which went pretty well. David Wildstar's group put on a really good. Their first show in Peterborough was amazing, and then like I don't know, Peterborough is Peterborough, so.
yeah,
Um, but we're close enough to Toronto, and we're close enough to Ajax and Oshawa and Belleville and all that. So to go an hour or so to hit a bigger audience has been pretty lucrative. Well, not, I shouldn't say lucrative. Lucrative is not the word. Pretty cost effective.
right.
Pretty recoup the costs effective.
Is it a pretty big convention at Peterborough?
Not super big. They've run it in the Twin Pad Arena we have here, so it takes up one side of that
Okay.
arena, and it the first one that ran here ever was a big deal, and people really showed up for that. Like the crowds turned out for that, and then after that first show, like the diehards came, but none of the casual people didn't come, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it wasn't as awesome. It was good. It wasn't as awesome as like the first one was.
I'll have to go out and check it out sometime. I've been meaning to go out and check it out.
Yeah,
I think I was going to check it out this year, but then we got the
yeah. The some of the best shows, like I've done. So Trevor puts on Toy Force. So the Quincy Toy Con and Toy Invasion and Ajax. Super well run shows. There's not a lot of artists there because it's mainly a toy show.
yeah.
So if you're looking for like that He-Man figure you don't have and really want, like this is the show to be at, kind of thing. And then if you can draw He-Man, then some people will buy your stuff because they're looking for like G.I. Joes and He-Man and nostalgia things.
Yeah.
And he puts on a really good show, really great to the people that come and sit and vend. Trevor's been super amazing to me, and the shows he puts on. He advertises well. People come, like the crowds come. If I was a toy vendor, I'd be rolling in it after every show. I'm an artist, so like I make some money, but I can see that the people are there, the potential is there for an audience. So Trevor does amazing work, and I've met a lot of cool people. Jerome Cabanathan, he has the Tree Kids of Troop 44. It's his comic book that inspired. He's like, I printed this on Amazon, and I was like, that's a thing, and so that's how this sort of actually got printed. Jerome's an awesome guy. I met him at one of Trevor's shows, and those are good conventions to go to, and they're not. It's only $5 to get in if you're coming.
Oh, that's not too bad. That doesn't take too much out of your pocket. Then you have extra money to go spending around on stuff.
Yeah.
That's why you want to go to conventions, to go buy stuff, buy some artwork, buy some comic books, have them autographed.
Yeah, not paying for the admission.
I know it's so expensive to meet some of these guys. Like years ago, before Fan Expo got really huge, met Stan Lee at one of the Fan Expo.
Yeah.
And he was walking around the convention halls before it was open. And I walked up to him and I shook his hand. I said, nice to meet you, Mr. Lee. And he shook my hand, and it felt like he was a bodybuilder or something, because he almost crushed my hand. maybe maybe he still has some of that radioactive spider blood in him.
Yeah, maybe.
This is before he got into his 90s. I think he was in his 50s or 60s, the late 60s maybe.
Oh, okay,
And,
yeah.
But what a nice guy. But back in those days, they were fairly cheap to get in, and you didn't have to go spend a ticket to go see Stan Lee, and get his autograph, because they have those packages now where you get autographs, you get a photo with them, blah blah blah, and it's like $100 or $200 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's on top of your admission price,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've never paid for the extra. I can't start when people are charging for autographs.
Yeah.
I can't bring myself to do it. I when I was at San Diego, a friend of mine, Andy, I don't know how to say his last name because he's from Europe, and at the Back Cat. He does like the Flash podcast and the Lightning podcast for Black Lightning and stuff. He is the showrunner for all these podcasts, and so I jumped on that bandwagon early. And he's like, "Hey, like, you want to go to this thing?" I was like, "Okay." And so I was able to go, thanks to him, and sort of be wherever I wanted to be because I had a press pass. And it's funny how some people are just people, and other people are like coin operated. Like, you put in the money, and there'll be people to you. And then other people are just folks. I was sitting in the hallway, waiting to do this interview thing with the cast of Black Lightning, and Stephen Amell walks by, and I'm like, "Oh my God, it's the Green Arrow!" So I'm like, "Hey, Steve," and he's like, "Hey, man," and he just kept on going. Like he's just a guy, right?
Yeah.
Or I went to a panel with Adam Savage.
Yeah.
And the guy I was sitting beside in the audience had made like a Mandalorian cosplay, sort of crossed over with something else, his own character, but he had made all the armor panels out of a filing cabinet, and they were like Velcroed onto his suit and everything. He looked pretty cool. And so as soon as they opened the mic for questions, like he's up there to ask a question, and he's telling Adam about his costume, and Adam's like, "Really?" And like jumps down off the stage and runs up to the guy to like check out his armor that he had made, because like Adam was just so thrilled with like how this guy had solved this problem. And, like he really is that guy you see on TV, like super fun. And then like Neil Adams, like he's nice from what I've observed anyways. Like if you throw down $200 for a print or an autograph on your print, he's a super great guy.
Yeah.
You don't have $200 for an autograph, like he does not care.
Yeah. Well, it's like Lou Ferrigno. I saw Lou Ferrigno at one of the fan expos, and I went to take a picture of him, and because I don't know if you see that I do photography as well as draw and write and stuff like that. And so I was at Fan Expo, and I seen Lou Ferrigno at the table, so I turned my camera and went to take a picture, and he went like this.
Oh.
And then he went like this. Yeah, you want to take my picture, you got to pay for it.
Oh, jeez.
So I just went, "See ya."
Yeah. Right? Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously I don't have the stature of a Jim Lee or whatever, but I can't imagine like charging people for an autograph. I mean, if someone's going to come and bring like 300 books for me to sign or something, like, okay, like after 10 of them or something. But if I'm sitting at a table and someone brings me my book, like, "Can you sign this?" Like, "Yeah, I'll even draw on the back of it for you. Like, thanks for buying it." Because
Kevin Eastman, when he does signatures, he puts a drawing of Ninja Turtle on the with his signature all the time.
Yeah.
And he doesn't
like,
charge nothing,
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's just like you're so I feel like, especially say Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird, like they captured lightning in a bottle at just the right time. Like so
Yeah.
lucky, like well planned. I guess they were planned. Like they knew what they were trying to do, anyways. But it was just like this is going to be big for 30 years.
Yeah. I don't even think they thought it was going to be, because I think Kevin and Peter, when they came up with the book, it was just like, we just want to put a book out.
Yeah, they're just two
You
guys.
know? Two guys having fun, putting it together. That's the whole main thing with a comic book. When you're putting a comic book together, you're not thinking. You shouldn't be thinking in your head, "Oh, how many millions I'm going to make off this thing." Because you got like I know with my parents when I did my Max Burger book, and it failed to get through Diamond. So if I got through Diamond, I might have made some money off it. I got through Capital. Capital was another distribution that Diamond I think bought up. And so I was able to get about 200 down in the States. But my father came to me and goes, how come you didn't make $1 million? We're expecting you to be a millionaire, and you shouldn't be doing this, you should quit it. And I'm like going, the important thing isn't to make money. Dave Sim never made money when he did Cerberus. I think it took him, almost a year before he started seeing money coming in. Because I think Denny was working, his wife then at the time, because he's divorced. She was working. She was running some stuff for him, and then he had a second studio in the apartment they rented as for a studio. So he would leave his living apartment to go down another floor to a studio so he can work. Because he wants to make it seem like he's going to a job. And that was that's what I understand, what I read, that's why he would leave his home, his living home, and then go downstairs to another apartment they rented.
Yeah.
So he'd have a studio. I would feel like here's this room. It's probably empty with maybe his drafting table, some art supplies, maybe music, and that's it. It's a pretty empty shell of a place,
Yeah.
Because I'd have posters over the place and stuff like that,
Mm.
But you can't go thinking about that you're going to make a lot of money at this. You know, you got to do it from the heart, and then the money afterwards is a bonus. I always look at it because it helps you create more. And then anything that you're doing in your life that you do not really like doing, like working in a factory or some crappy other job, then that helps you to do focus on what you want to do.
Yeah.
And what you want to create,
Yeah. Yeah, I never really it wasn't even an inkling in my mind that this would be a graphic novel for sale somewhere, especially when I started. And then it was just sort of thanks to Jerome, I put my book out on Amazon. And I was like, I can do that without forking out $1,000 and have an actual graphic novel? Okay, I'll do that. And, I get royalties from it when it sells. And that's gonna, buy my next computer. It's hopefully there's enough of a cash flow from it to be my 2 years from now I can replace my computer with this money or something like that. It's just for fun because I would do it anyways. I'm gonna sit and draw anyway.
Yeah.
So why not sit and draw and then have some sort of kickback on the back end if that's the thing. And it is a thing. The thing, like what you're saying, when I go to conventions and someone's like, "Can you draw my kid as Spider-Man?" I'm like, "Sure, I can do that." And I draw here you go. It's your kid as Spider-Man. I'm like, "Oh my god! This is gonna go on my wall. It's so amazing." I'm yeah, that's what I'm after when I'm reading things. Is that reaction. You love this, and you're able to see it and put it up somewhere. That's the reaction I want. It doesn't really matter. I've given away stuff that kids have come by and they're like, "I really love that, but I don't have any money." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, here, take it because you love it." Like it's
Yeah.
just in a book for me. Like I have drawings I've done for sale. It's just gonna sit there. And if you love it that much, like take it and put it up. Yeah.
Yeah. Like usually when I go to the Kitchener Comic Con, I usually sell my Max Burgers for cover price because the book is 30 years old. It's over 30 years old, 31 years old. And when I printed it, was I charged $2 on the cover.
Right.
So I could, if I wanted to, I could charge whatever I wanted. Now I do have an eBay page where I do charge a little bit more for the book. I think I got it like $15 or something, and then there's $10 shipping or something, which is still not too bad. And because this book, Max Burger, is in a time capsule at City Hall. I have issue 1 and 2 at a time capsule. When they opened up the City Hall in about 25 years ago, 26 years ago. Both of my books are in there with an interview from the local paper here, and that's in there. My issue 2, we had a Persian Gulf War in 1990.
Yeah.
So I was getting this newspaper called the Comics Buyer Guide. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, it looked like a regular newspaper, and so they were saying in there all the American artists, comic book publishers, were sending comic books to the Persian Gulf to their men and women overseas. I go, well, there's only Dave Sim. I don't hear him doing anything. And I said, well, why don't I just send a bunch of books over? So I sent 400 copies of my book to 2 different ships, the Terra Nova and the Sebastian, I think it's called. And I got a letter from the commanding officer thanking me for sending the books to his men and women that were fighting over there and stuff like that.
That's
But I signed all 400 copies. That took me all weekend.
Yeah.
You know, and then I shipped them off. I had to go to the post office, and I go, where do I send these things? How do I send this to our troops?
Right.
And they took care of everything for me, and which was great. Yeah. But that helped me get on TV and get an interview with the local TV station, and I was very nervous being this huge big camera. Because back in the 90s, those cameras were huge. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, you got to do stuff to promote yourself, too.
Oh, yeah.
You want to get those books out. You want people to hear about it. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, listen, Chris, I guess I'll let you go. It looks like you need to get going.
Yeah. The dog just came and opened the door. But the baby's probably waking up soon.
Say, I got to go for a walk.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on the show, Chris.
Oh, thanks for having me. Thanks so much.
Hopefully that this will, I've got the ticker down here where to go for you. Hopefully people will come over and buy some books off you.
Yeah, hopefully. That'd be great.
Before we go, do you want to just give a brief summary of your book and where they can contact you at?
Sure. So my book is Omega Squad, Volume 1, Trial by Fire. It's a space sci-fi action adventure book. These 2 folks here on the cover, Jago and Anya, they're going to save the galaxy from the militant Lazarus. And you can find me on Instagram at Chris_Barnes_art, or on Facebook, Chris Barnes Art, without the underscores. And then the book is searchable on Amazon. $12.99 in Canada, $9.99 in the US, and other markets. And just thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. All right. Well, you have a good day then.
All right. Thanks. You too.